Stop getting hyped. Stop getting excited for anything and, just be miserable. No, I'm just kidding. But you should really stop getting hyped for a lot of games that come out. At least just stop getting invested in announcements in general. It's something that I've kind of had the belief of for the past few years, and I've kind of wanted to yap about it for a little bit and just kind of explain why I feel the way I do. There's like two main games that made me think of this to make it feel relevant right now. The first was Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6 was like one of the most hype games I've seen in a hot minute. I think part of that was Call of Duty flopping so hard this year, and despite the actual quality of the game itself, people not really liking the direction it was going. Battlefield 6 looked like a breath of fresh air and a return to what people liked in the franchise. However, the game came out, and the campaign was mid at best and horrible at worst. The Battle Royale was a flash in the pan. I think people played that for like a week, and the multiplayer, while good, started to show some cracks almost immediately. Me personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of it because it felt much more like Call of Duty Ground War more than an actual Battlefield game. But, people liked it and people enjoyed it for the first like month or so. And then the game just completely flopped. The post-launch support was so bad. And now we're back to basically where it was in 2042, maybe just with a little bit more players where people are just complaining and angry at the game again. The other game that made me think of this was GTA 6. While I have no doubt the game is going to be good, I think the issue is that I don't think there will ever be a world where the game is good enough. The game is just way too hyped. I think the game is probably the most hyped piece of media in like history. It's going to sell gangbusters when it comes out, but unless it's like literally a perfect recreation of life in Florida where you can like do everything and it's perfect with no bugs, I think people will get mad at it, which is crazy to me because the game could probably be a 10 out of 10 and people would still find a reason to get mad. And like we've seen with the leaks of this game that even the unfinished versions of it are getting dunked on because people don't understand game development first. And then it's also not perfect from leaked builds from years ago. It's crazy to me. I've kind of been out of hyping games for a long while, but for the last game I can really think of that I was like super hyped for was Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Budokai Tenkaichi was like my childhood. I love those games for the PS2. And knowing that there was going to be an actual like sequel to those games made me like so hyped. It was probably the most hyped I've ever been for a game. And then it came out and it was good. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. I think it was very lacking in single player content, and I'm not a person that wants to play that type of game online, so I didn't find much value in that. So the game was solid, it's a decent starting point for the franchise in the modern era, but it didn't deserve the amount of hype that I had for it. And honestly, that's another game that dropped the post launch support so badly. Like, we're finally getting actual good content and what people have been asking for. Like, I think it's been like almost 2 years since the game came out. At least that's what it feels like. There's a difference between hype and excitement. You can be like excited for something. Like I really enjoyed the first two Dune movies and Dune Part 3 is coming out this year and I'm excited for that. I'm not hyped for it where the fact that like I'm making these expectations of the movie where it's going to be the greatest thing ever before it even comes out. That's the difference. Hype is like putting yourself way too much into something that doesn't even exist yet or just isn't in your hands. And excitement is just being like, hey, I'm positive about this thing. It looks like it could be promising and I think I'll enjoy it. There's a major difference there. I'm not gonna lie, I watch like the Game Awards, like the Summer Games Fest, because that stuff can be fun to watch with friends and see what's coming out. It's nice to have a finger on the pulse of like what's coming out in the gaming industry, like what's gonna happening and like, stuff like that. And for stuff that's bad, it can be fun to, dunk on it with your friends. On that similar note, there's a lot of hype drawn from those type of like shows. But the thing is that those announcements are almost always both not gameplay and or just won't be out for quite a while. And the most recent example I can think of this is the John Wick game. We saw like maybe like 3 seconds of gameplay and I don't even think we know when the game's coming out. If I'm wrong, put a thing on the screen, whatever. But I'm like, I'm not hyped for that. Like, I want to see actual gameplay to know if it's going to be a fun game. I mean, from what we can see, it kind of looks like John Wick Sifu, but like, we don't know that. We didn't see the game. And even when I see gameplay, it could be a trimmed out segment that's good in a game that's overall kind of mid. That's why I'm not really hyped for like announcements like this because not only they basically just investor pitches to show, hey, we're making this really cool thing that people are going to buy, but we won't actually show what the game looks like. I just want to play the game for myself before I get excited for the most part, you know? I don't know why that's like such a crazy opinion. And for the not being out for quite a while and the investor thing, I think the biggest example is Elder Scrolls 6. Like that game, I don't even know if it's ever going to come out. Like it will eventually, but like it might be 2030. Like it was very obvious, especially with a lot of the comments that Todd Howard has made recently as far as like rolling it back, that it was basically just an investor push to try and get their stock price higher to that, hey, we're making Elder Scrolls 6. Invest in us, please. It's stupid. I don't want to put my energy into something that might not even exist for the next 10 years. Or it can be even worse. Like, look at something like Scalebound, when people were excited for that, where it was just hyped and hyped and hyped for years, and then it just got canceled. It doesn't even exist. I think another negative of hype is that it can ruin games before they come out by making expectations just go way too high. I think the first example that comes to mind is Cyberpunk. Now, the Cyberpunk launch was not great as far as technical wise. It was very buggy. There's no denying that, despite how many people want to erase that from history. However, I also think that people did kind of dunk on the game a little bit unfairly because of the hype. People kind of imagined that the game was going to be much more expansive and big than it actually was, whether it was from developer statements or not. And the fact that those weren't there made the experience for people worse. When in reality, it's like, okay, I'm just going to play the game that's here and not compare it to an imaginary game that doesn't exist or a game that was promised or whatever. And sometimes these games live up to the hype. Like, I don't know, the first example I can think of is like Elden Ring. But the hype doesn't actually add to the game itself. Like, yeah, people got super hyped for Elden Ring and it was like big cultural moment. But if I'm playing Elden Ring now, like I'm still gonna get as much enjoyment out of the game because it's a good game, even without the hype behind it. I feel like it's only a negative thing because if you're hyped for something and it ends up being bad, then it's just going to give you disappointment. And if you're not hyped for something and it ends up being good, then you're going to get surprised and you're going to feel great because you found a game that is cool. I think not hyping a game lets you enjoy games for like what they are instead of what they could be. I think one of the biggest examples I can think of is like Starfield. I didn't play it myself, but from all the critics I watched that I personally trust, it was like a 6 or 7 out of 10 game. You know, it was solid. I mean, it's not the best Bethesda game in the world, but it does some good things, it does some bad things, and it's okay or solid. Well, because there was so much hype behind it, people had to defend it like it was the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever, and it's just miserable to engage with games like that. Just play the game and take it for what it is. And another thing where it's like enjoying games for what they are instead of what they could be, it's like Battlefield 2042. I hate to be that person. I know it's like my probably one of my hottest takes. I enjoyed Battlefield 2042 at launch. I thought it was a decently fun game. Is it the best Battlefield game in the world? No. But I mean, outside of the technical issues and some gameplay issues I found that were great. I mean, I played it. It was a decent Battlefield game, and I had fun with it for the 50 hours I put into it at launch. But instead, a lot of the discourse around it was because it was hyped up so much as this insane game that's going to come out and save the Battlefield franchise. And it ended up just kind of being okay or bad to some people. And that dominated the discourse around it. Is that always a bad thing? Because both Starfield and Battlefield 2042 had to kind of improve to try and be better. I think Starfield's getting an expansion this year. Battlefield 2042 had a complete overhaul where the game is just much better than it was before, even as someone that enjoyed it at launch. But I don't know. I'm just the type of person where I don't want to put any expectations on a game that aren't made by the game itself. I want to just play the game for what it is, and if it's good, then it's good. If it's bad, then it's bad. I feel like the funniest part of it is that hype can just tank games that don't even exist or aren't announced. The most recent Game Awards is the prime example of this. I feel like so many of the recent Game Awards games, and especially there's a big elephant in the room I'll cover in a minute, got like completely dismissed or crapped on because they weren't Half-Life 3. There's been a lot of like credible rumors that Half-Life 3 is in the works and kind of just was delayed because a lot of this like AI super price bubble stuff with all the RAM and things being so expensive. But it was mainly just pure speculation that they were going to reveal Half-Life 3 at the Game Awards. I thought it was personally a possibility because like apparently Half-Life Alyx was supposed to be announced at the Game Awards and it just kind of never ended up working out. So I was like, okay, well maybe they'll throw Jeff Keighley a bone and give him Half-Life 3 to announce and that'll be his biggest moment ever. It didn't end up happening, but the games themselves at the award show were okay, I guess, for the most part. Few highlights here and there, but people just completely wrote it off because of hype for a game that doesn't even have official announcement yet. It's just this eternal zeitgeist of negativity, even when it's for something positive. And I feel like, that kind of extends to what I'd call anti-hype. There's like a lot of games recently where people are just like crapping on them before they even come out and just want to see them fail immediately. It's like this weird like anti-hype thing. The three games I can think of with this are Concord, Highguard, and Marathon. I'm not gonna act like all these games are great. I didn't play Concord. From basically all that I saw of it, it was kind of a 6 out of 10 game. I played Highguard and it was okay. It was fine, I guess. I mean, there was some bad things with it, but there were some cool things with it as well. And Marathon obviously had the whole artist thing, which is unacceptable, but at least the artists ended up getting paid for their work. But there's just so many people trying to see the game fail when, for the most part, it seems like a pretty decently niche game that appeals to its audience really well and seems to be like they're enjoying it a lot. It's just, I don't personally get the idea of wanting to see games fail like that or actively rooting for a game to fail. Marathon's a lot of just like Bungie hate in general and people taking the art controversy and stuff, but I don't really see the issue with that game. People just, I don't understand wanting to see a game like that fail. If it's good, it's good. With Highguard, it makes even less sense to me because I think it's mainly just because people were mad at Jeff Keighley for highlighting it rather than the actual game itself. I mean, it's just an okay game from what I played. I'm not gonna like die on the hill that, oh, it's like this underrated gem you should have to play or whatever, but like it's fine. It really didn't deserve like the amount of vitriol it got because realistically, if it came out without Jeff Keighley's announcement, it probably just would have been shrugged off and shut down in a month anyway. And even with something like Concord, where I feel like it deserves the hate the most, where it's like a very out of touch corporation trying to make obviously like a live service slop. Even that game was like okay. And the thing with it is like I don't want to see a bad game. What does that do other than just breed negativity and make you feel worse? I personally don't understand the idea of putting so much effort and energy into being negative about something if it's not like genuine criticism because these anti-hype campaigns like Concord, Highguard, and Marathon, they're not because they want the game to be better. They're because they want the game to not exist, period. Which is odd to me. Like, the games exist. I would just want them to be better than they are. Even if you don't personally like the idea of a live service shooter like Concord or Highguard or like an extraction shooter like Marathon, I'm not an extraction shooter person, but I want good games. I just want good games to exist. And I feel like that's how I feel about it. And that's why I don't get super hyped for anything and why I don't feel like that anti-hype either. It's just I just want I just want to play good games. I feel like it's not much more than that. And I'm going to actually play the game and not feel like I have to involve myself in discourse and this hype train on something every so often. It's just strange and it's a very weird product of the internet that I don't personally like. All I can say is just be normal about games coming out. Like you can get excited about things. Like there's a few games that are coming out that I'm excited about. I'm trying to think of ones off the top of my head. Like I'm excited for like GTA 6. I think that's gonna be cool. I'll probably end up buying an Xbox for it, but I'm not like investing every second of my time and energy in the gaming space and my online presence into being hyped about GTA 6 or crapping on some bad live service game. You can be excited about something yet be critical and skeptical at the same time. Like a lot of stuff I look at, a lot of these announcements, I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea for a game. A John Wick game idea is cool, but I'm gonna wait to see some gameplay to see how it is. And the idea of hype in general, now that I'm on PC and I have so many games for so cheap, it just feels stupid because you don't even need to get hyped for new games. Like, yeah, there's going to be new games that come out that are cool and you're going to want to play, but there's so many games out there that you haven't played that you will like, that you haven't even played and you can get for really cheap. And I say will because you will. There's so many games out there that there is almost an entire guarantee that you will find something that you can play now that you'll like. I hate to have the thesis of this video just be basically be normal, but yeah, just be normal and well adjusted, man. Just hype is like a freaking poison, man. Just be normal. So yeah, that's my kind of ramble about all this hype stuff and how I generally kind of feel about it. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. I know people will feel differently a lot about this stuff, but that's just how I feel. Like, subscribe, all that jazz if you end up enjoying. Appreciate it. Drink water. Baseball season's on, so enjoy your favorite team playing. I hope you have a nice day. My name is Chaos, and have a good one.